Joshua and spiritual possession. When we talk about the story of Joshua, we are talking about possessing what God has already promised beforehand. What is the spiritual meaning of the book of Joshua today? Joshua is a figure who symbolizes leadership, courage, and the fulfillment of God's will. What is spiritual possession in the Christian life? In the Christian life, the promised land symbolizes the promises and purpose God has for each of us, and Joshua teaches us that in order to possess these promises, which God has already placed in our hands, we need faith, obedience, and perseverance. Joshua's journey and your journey. Joshua's journey toward the promised land has clear parallels with your own journey. Just as Joshua and the people of Israel had to face challenges and obstacles to enter the land God had promised them, you too face challenges on your way toward your goals and dreams. Faith in God's promises. Joshua believed in God's promises even when everything seemed impossible to achieve or receive. The land he was about to possess was inhabited by powerful nations, but Joshua trusted that God would give them victory, because it is not by our strength or ability, but by his word and spirit. Similarly, even though you face debt, academic pressure, and the expectations of building a stable future, you can trust that God has a plan for you and that he is faithful to help you overcome these challenges. Obedience to divine direction. Joshua was obedient to God's direction at every step. God gave him clear instructions, and he followed them exactly. For you, this means that in the middle of your plans and dreams, you must seek God's guidance in prayer and through his word. Perseverance in the midst of challenges. The conquest of the promised land was neither quick nor easy. It required years of battles and constant perseverance. Likewise, reaching your goals will not be instant. There will be obstacles, moments of discouragement, and battles. But Joshua teaches us that perseverance, accompanied by faith, leads us to possess what God has promised, even when it seemed impossible to attain. What is the spiritual meaning of Joshua today? Joshua symbolizes a change in leadership, a transition from a time of preparation in the wilderness to a time of action and conquest. Remember that Joshua spent time in the shadow of Moses, learning and being prepared to lead the people in the future. Many times we go through seasons in which God is preparing us, forming our character, and strengthening our faith before taking us into action and into new blessings. God prepares us in the shadows, where no one sees. Joshua spent years in the shadow of Moses, learning, serving, and witnessing how God worked through Moses. This preparation was crucial for the moment when he himself had to lead. In the same way, sometimes we may feel as if we are in the shadow, as if our preparation and sacrifices go unnoticed. But God is preparing our heart for moments of greater responsibility and leadership in his perfect timing. Patience during this shadow season is crucial because it equips you for what is coming. The call to leadership. When Joshua's time came, God told him, "Be strong and courageous," Joshua 1 verse 9. Leadership requires more than skills. It requires courage and faith to move forward in the middle of challenges. For you, this means that although the responsibilities ahead may feel overwhelming, God calls you to be courageous and trust that he has already equipped you for leadership in every area of your life, whether in your career, your family, or your community. The power of obedience. Joshua's obedience resulted in supernatural victories, such as the fall of the walls of Jericho. Sometimes obedience to God does not make sense from a human perspective, but it always leads to spiritual victory. This means trusting God's ways even when they seem difficult or unconventional. His direction is what will lead you to your greatest victories. God's faithfulness in our response. The book of Joshua reminds us that God is faithful to his promises, but also teaches us that there is an active part of our faith that requires obedience and action. God does not call us to wait passively, but to walk toward the land he has promised, to fight the battles before us. What is God telling you today? Your time of preparation has not been in vain, and the challenges you face are opportunities for you to see the faithfulness of God manifested in your life. In the world, taking risks may involve loss, but in the spiritual realm, risk is not measured by material results, but by the willingness to obey and serve God. Do you remember the parable of the talents? Neither of the two servants who took a risk lost anything. On the contrary, because they took the risk, they gained more than they had. In the kingdom of God, risking is equivalent to trusting his will. The real loss happens when we do nothing with what we have been given. The fact that neither servant who risked something lost anything shows that faithfulness and the use of the gifts God gives us are and always will be rewarded.